What is going on, everyone? Happy Tuesday. Hope you guys are doing well. It's not a victory Tuesday. It's not a loss Tuesday. It's a bye week Tuesday. So happy Tuesday. How's everyone's week going? I hope it's been a good week so far. I know it's still early. It feels like a very long week though already. But it's how it goes sometimes. Let's get this ticker going across the bottom. And then I have the giveaway link that I will add here as I'm kind of looking at some comments. Here is the giveaway link. If you're new here, if you've never been here during a live show before, there is a link for you to fill out. Fill it out only one time per episode, please. Otherwise, I have to do some stuff on my end, or technically, I could disqualify you from the prize if you were to win. I don't want to get to that point. So just fill it out one time. And then later on, during the show, we will draw the winner. You don't have to be here the entire time to win. However, you do need to be here to claim your prize when you are here, or when the prize is announced or the winner is announced later on. All right, let's see who's checking in. Tully checked in way early. I'm guessing it's the YouTube gives like a preview that I'm going to go live, but every time he like catches me off guard because I'm like making sure my camera's focused. So the weird part about, not that you guys necessarily care, but I have two cameras. I have one that I record with and one that I stream with. The one I stream with, it's a DSLR, like a mirrorless camera, and it has an autofocus on it. But if I turn on autofocus, it streams the autofocus to you guys. So I have to like set it up every single week beforehand. Well, where I'm going with that is Chad always comments and I'm like, am I live? Can he see me like focusing my camera and making sure it's right? But I think he just comments. I hope he doesn't. Not that I'm doing anything weird. It's just not a whole lot of production value, and I don't want other people being able to watch that. But I don't think that's the case. Steve, good to see you. 3 more sleeps until I head to Green Bay. Fantastic. That'll be a blast. Holy cow, my son's making all sorts of crazy noise up there. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but I don't know what he's doing. Rowdy says 2 weeks in a row we didn't lose. Bring on the Flacco. Bring on the Flacco. Reading's my strong suit tonight. What would a bot say? Wade says I am not a bot. Good to see you, Wade. Hope you're feeling better, man. Corey, good to see you, man. Checking in from New Ulm. Chad says, ready to get back to watching Packers football. I have to be honest, it was kind of nice to have a relaxing Sunday, if you will. I actually didn't even really watch much football at all on Sunday or Monday. So the 2 noon games I got, neither of which really interest me much. So I didn't watch those. I don't remember what the 3:25 game was. I clearly didn't watch that. And then the Sunday night game, I can never watch all of that. That's way past my bedtime. Keith, good to see you checking in, sir. My guy fellow Ben, what's up, man? How you doing? Checking in from Cali. And then we got Christy checking in from Canada. Every time I see the CA, it's always like, it's always kind of around the same time Ben checks in too. So it's like Cali, Canada. It always throws me off. Kirby ASL. So what is this, a 90s chat room? Jenny says she's heading to Lambeau Field for the Sunday Fun Day. I will be there as well. Hope to bump into you, Jenny. That'd be great. Derek, good to see you checking in from South Dakota. I think you're coming in this weekend, if I'm not mistaken, too. Yeah, Wade got past the captcha again. Jenny says, week's going good, especially since we've had those 80-degree temps. I'm really ready for fall weather. We went to a pumpkin patch this past weekend, and it was 85 while we're there. However, I say that with the I know come January, I'm going to wish that we had this weather. So I'm trying to absorb it all in as much as possible. Okay. Yeah. Chad says he can't see me. Just shows waiting for you to go live. Cool. You guys can hear Mason. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. It's almost his bedtime, though. He'll be going upstairs soon. What a character. The ending of the Monday night game was crazy. I didn't see it. I was sleeping, but I saw the replay this morning. That's pretty crazy. What a shame. What a shame. All right. Well, we don't have we don't have a game to talk about or recap. But what we are going to talk about is the Bengals game, and I felt like that's appropriate, right? We're coming up on the Bengals. They obviously have had some breaking news today. They traded for Joe Flacco. They traded Joe Flacco and a 6th-round pick in exchange for a 5th-round pick from the Bengals. So the Browns and Bengals made a trade. If Joe starts this weekend and the Bengals beat the Packers, he would be the second quarterback since the stat started being tracked in 1950 to start and beat the same opponent twice in a season with 2 different teams. So the last time it was done by Jack Kemp, who beat the Titans with both the Chargers and Bills in 1962. And I saw that factoid per Josh Dubow. So I thought that was an interesting stat line. Now, I don't see it happening. I know that like the Browns beating the Packers was a big deal. But we're going to talk about how these are very different teams. The Bengals and Browns are very different teams. Kind of calling out about the Bengals so far this season, they've allowed 15 sacks or averaging 3 per game. Their offensive line is kind of beat up. It's a completely different ball game than the Bengals. They obviously have some weapons, right? They have 2 incredible receivers, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. I don't know why I was spacing on him all of a sudden. How do I remember T. Higgins but not Jamar Chase? But these are 2 different teams, and I'll show you here. But I actually got a chance to do the overlay this week. Hey, Ron, good to see you. Thanks for checking in. Seeing here. Yeah, man, I think my heart needed some rest as well. So good to see Casey. I'm gonna save this, Keith. I'm gonna save that for the burning hot questions. All right, so I put this together. Hopefully, you guys can see it. Hopefully, it helps you. I did this last season a lot in showing kind of how these 2 teams compare. As you can see, the Packers are favored on both sides of the ball as far as averages. This is why with the Browns, I was like, okay, that has a recipe for disaster there. We're talking about how great of a defense they had, so that could be a real issue. It was in Cleveland. That's another thing. And it seems like those kind of games always tend to linger for the Packers. Like they never can pull away, and those defenses can really give some issues to the Packers over the years historically. So I wasn't like super shocked. If the Packers were to lose to the Bengals, I think I would be very shocked. And I'm not saying it's impossible, right? The Bengals have weapons. I just don't know that they can get hot enough and then stop the Packers enough, especially at Lambeau Field, for this to happen. Breaking down offenses, the Packers are ranked 14th in total yards, averaging 347 yards a game, compared to the Bengals, who have an average of 228.6 yards per game, which is 32nd in the NFL. They're bringing in Joe Flacco. I don't know if Joe Flacco is going to start. This would be a very, very short week for Joe Flacco to come in and start. If he does start, which I'm sure they're trading for him to start. Like, I don't see a reason why, unless they think Joe's going to be out that much longer. But if he were to start, I'm guessing we're going to see a much more simplistic offense for them and something that he can pick up maybe a little bit quicker. I do think that that creates some chances for a lot of miscues for the Bengals, and hopefully the Packers can capitalize on that, which is something that they've struggled with immensely this year. Is they've struggled to capitalize on miscues. We've seen the Packers only create 2 turnovers this year compared to last year, where they were just they created 2 turnovers in the first game. The Packers they haven't been getting the turnovers that you'd want, and that's been apparent so far. Sway Coda, good to see you. Heather, good to see you as well. Kirby, you and your trap game. Now, as far as passing yards, the Bengals are 29th in the league. Packers are 11th. Rushing yards, Packers are 18th, and Bengals are 24th. Points per game, the Packers are 9th, and the Bengals are 30th. Or, excuse me, 29th. Um, Defensively, across the board, the Packers outshine the Bengals. Total yards per game, averaging 283.3 yards allowed, which is fourth in the NFL. Compared to the Bengals, they are 30th in the NFL. Rushing yards per game, or excuse me, passing yards per game, Packers are 11th, allowing 205.8 yards on average, where the Bengals are 29th. Rushing yards, the Packers are second in the NFL as far as what they've allowed. The Bengals are 24th. And then points allowed per game, the Packers are 11th, and then the Bengals are 30th. So defensively, the Bengals are 24th ranked in all categories or worse. And offensively, 29th or worse. Now we're bringing in Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco has a lot of experience. Joe Flacco has won big games. But this is Joe Flacco's getting old. He got benched in Cleveland. When we played the Browns, their offense really didn't do much. The Packers handed them that game through the interception by. Oh wait. Maybe I should go back to my thing about blaming Jeff Halfley, since that's been a running bit. But speaking of which, for those of you that were here for that, we made a big joke about blaming Jeff Halfley for that Browns loss. And at the end of it, I said, I can't wait to post this clip because people are going to watch this out of context. Even with this segment in there, they're going to get mad about it, even though I'm being very, very sarcastic, heavily sarcastic. So I posted that entire clip. And even with that ending of I'm being very, very sarcastic, people are going to be outraged and whatever, the amount of comments I've got that were like so like trying to be like mean towards me and insulting me, like people are calling me ugly, and it's absolutely hilarious. But if you guys are looking for something funny, try to go back and find that and read the comments. Like people are cussing me out, even though I say in it like this is a joke. I'm laughing my way through it. I say that the Packers, he should be punished by staying with the Packers for another 3 years. It's hilarious. But anyway, where I'm going with this is against the Browns, the Packers handed that game over. Poor special teams. Jordan had that bad interception. Offense couldn't get rolling. So many missed opportunities, a lot of penalties. Against this Bengals team, this defense isn't going to be as tight as that Browns defense. At least I don't think so. I'd be very shocked if they just suddenly showed up and started playing like the 85 Bears. I just don't see it. I think I saw the spread was like 14 and a half points. I don't know that the Packers cover that or beat them by more than that. Just because in typical Packers fashion, it feels like we let teams stick around a little bit more than we should. But I think I would be very shocked if we're coming here next week talking about, okay, how the Bengals beat the Packers. I don't know. Obviously, anything could happen, right? Anything could happen any given Sunday for a reason. A lot of fluky plays could happen. A lot of fluky turnovers can happen. But all signs are pointing to that this feels like a good game for the Packers. We're back at home. I'm going to be there. It's my first game I've been to since 2023. With my little man, it's a little bit harder to go to games. So I'm excited. My wife and I are going to be able to go to the game. If you see us, if you're going there, if you see me, feel free to stop me, say hi. I'm excited to get down there and just be at Lambeau Field again for an actual game. We've been going to family night for the last couple of years, but just not going to games. It's a little bit harder when we got a little one at home. All right, let's take a look here at some of these comments here. Let's get this off the screen though. How are you guys feeling about the game? Any concerns on your end? Steve says, why isn't this showing? Oh, Okay. Steve says McKinney needs to step up and get them picks. I think it's tough because it's not like he gets a lot of opportunities either. A lot of teams as of right now are a lot of teams have been just doing little short chunk plays. McKinney's back there waiting for a flyer, and he doesn't always get the opportunities either, which smart on the offensive side to not give the opportunities for McKinney to make a play. Alfonso, good to see you, my friend. Go Pack Go from Houston. Yeah, I made a lot of people mad by posting that reel, even though I said in the reel that I was being very sarcastic. But I made a lot of people mad. Um, Chad. Oh, that's another one. So when I hit 60,000, and this is, if you're new here, if it's your first time watching, this is probably going to be a little bit more of a chill episode. We don't have, usually we recap the game a lot and we talk about the pros and cons, the good things, the bad things. We don't have a ton to talk about as we're looking at a matchup. I could hammer this into the ground and go over everything about, but usually with these, I kind of just chill. We're just having a good time. We're hanging out. But I appreciate you guys watching and hanging out nonetheless. Chad says, tired of seeing your face. So when I posted 60,000, that I hit 60,000 followers on Facebook, some lady like commented like, what'd she say? Like, who cares? Get a life, loser, or something like that. And then she was tired of seeing my face. Have a social media page, they said. It would be fun, they said. No, in all actuality, I am stoked that I've started this journey a long time ago. Actually, I think 8 years ago today or yesterday, I started this page. So it's a happy anniversary, I guess. It's crazy that it's been 8 years already. I've had a lot of life changes since I started this. I started this in 2017, and since then I bought a house. I've gotten married. I had a kid. Had a lot of fun opportunities because of this, whether it's working with Nicolet Law, Legend Larry's, and so many other opportunities. Honestly, because of this, I've been fortunate to meet so many incredible people along the way. So it's pretty surreal that it's already been 8 years. It's awesome. There's obviously a lot of like downsides of it, dealing with social media and dealing with people and how people are. People behind a screen are very quick to just be very blunt, like say stuff that they would never say in real life, but because they feel like they're behind a screen that I'm not reading it, and it like, thankfully, it doesn't really impact me or bother me anymore. I've kind of grown thick skin from it all, but it is interesting how some people will behave just because they're online. But yeah, no, it's pretty wild to think about 8 years of posting Packers stuff and different Green Bay content, and all the people my website's helped over the years as they're coming into town, and the amount of emails I get from people every single game day is just awesome. So I'm stoked I did it. Steve says, "What section are you in?" I don't remember off the top of my head, to be honest with you. I would have to look at my tickets. It's tough because a lot of times when I get tickets, I don't really pay that close of attention. A lot of times I'm getting them from friends or people who are selling to me at like face value. In this situation, my brother actually gave me these tickets. His like accountant had season tickets or has season tickets, and sold them to my brother for the year. My brother's a Vikings fan, but he's bought these season tickets just to have them. So he gave me the game for the Bengals game. So I don't even remember what section they're in, but I'm just happy to get there. Heather says, I went to a preseason game against the Bengals. It was a great experience. Their fans were super nice and welcoming, and we won, of course. Yeah, I've never had any issues with the Bengals. I have a group of friends coming up from the Cincinnati Packers club. So I'm excited to get together with them, like my friend Dan. Excited to see him and some of the other people. So it should be I think it's like Packers fans of Greater Cincinnati area or something, whatever their group is. So it should be a lot of fun. Why don't we do this? Why don't we just start getting in some questions? If you guys have questions, we can get as fun with them as you want. If you want to do it per game, whatever. Let's start getting into some questions. We'll get into some burning hot questions. Um, yeah. All right. Before we do anything, here's that giveaway link again. If you have not already entered the giveaway, there it is there. Fill it out. If you've already entered, don't do it a second time. And then we will draw that winner a little bit later. All right. I know Keith had a question. We can start with that one, but feel free to start dropping some questions. Let's just have fun, hang out, have a good, nice night. Nice, good Tuesday. How about that? Keith says, how concerned about the offense are you? Keith, I'm not sure. Thank you for the question, by the way. I'm not sure if you're referring to our offense or if I'm concerned about stopping the Bengals offense. To be frank, I'm not really concerned about either. Their offense, they have great receivers, T. Higgins, and then Jamar Chase, like we talked about. They have some great weapons. I just think their offensive line's tough. I think that the quarterback play that they've had makes it tough, where they're not able to really make the explosive plays. Now, they're going to make plays on you for sure. It's not like you're going to see the whole game. You're not going to see the whole game go by where they stifle them completely. They're going to get their opportunities. Your job as a defense is to try to limit those opportunities or try to make them as low percentage as possible. So that's my hope. I think offensively, I think it should be one of those, like you're going against Dallas again, where you can hopefully drive the ball pretty successfully down the field. One nice thing is we're going to see Christian coming back here soon. I don't know if it'll be this weekend, but we're going to see him coming back soon, which should really help open up the deep ball, stretch that field a little bit. One thing we didn't talk about, or I forgot to talk about, is as far as injuries, our offensive line guys are practicing again, which has been good, but Devontae Wyatt is out, which is huge. Sounds like he might be missing a decent amount of time. The Packers worked out like 5 defensive tackles today, and I've heard rumblings that the Packers are maybe going to put Lucas Van Ness as more of a middle of the defensive line to disrupt there. So that's I don't know. Those are big things, but I'm not like super concerned about either like our offense get going or their offense as far as like taking over the game. It just doesn't. With Dallas, it made a little bit more sense, even without CeeDee Lamb. Sometimes losing that receiver, that big receiver, actually makes a team better. We saw when Detroit had Kelvin Johnson, Stafford looked at him so often that it almost made his play worse, and you saw him grow as a quarterback when Kelvin Johnson retired. He opened up his offense a little bit more. Rodgers, obviously, we saw him target Jordy a lot over the years. Well, it started with Jennings and then Jordy and then Devontae, and started like staring down receivers more. And I feel like when you don't have that crucial key guy, it makes it easier to kind of spread things around. The Bengals obviously have 2 incredible weapons in their wide receiving room, but hopefully you can just limit it as much as possible. Great question, though. Jenny says, what is your game day routine like? Well, my game day routine is probably pretty similar to my everyday routine, especially with Mason. We keep it pretty routine, you know. So right now, my game day routine is we're waking up at like 6 o'clock. We're coming downstairs. I make a pot of coffee. Mason helps me make a pot of coffee. We play trains. We play with magnet tiles. We put out the Packers flag on Sundays or whenever they're playing. And then, him and I will play until my wife wakes up, and then we'll probably run errands before the game comes on. And then we just all hang out and watch the game. So pretty, I don't know, pretty boring routines, but we run on routines in our household. That's for sure. Rowdy says, what does our receiving group look like after Watson is activated off pup? And then what happens when Reed comes back? Do we keep 7 receivers? That's a really good question. I think having the abundance is great. There's a long season, obviously, until Reed comes back, that a lot could happen in that time frame. One guy that seems to kind of feel like the odd man out right now, I haven't seen much of him, has been Malik Heath. So won't surprise me there if maybe we see him on the chopping. We've seen Bo Melton playing at wide receiver a little bit, even though he's a corner. So we've seen him kind of play both ways yet this year. I don't know if we've really seen him much as a corner so far. I don't. Corner's like not something that I look at every single snap. So I could very well have missed something, but I don't think I've seen him. But I've seen him play on the offensive side of the ball. So that's a good question. It's tough. It also depends on what happens elsewhere, where we have guys on IR or what have you. So do we keep 7 receivers? I mean, it just depends on the value you think you're providing. At a certain point, though, I don't know how you feel, because there's so much depth there that having 7 feels like you're robbing another position to do it. So I don't know. I don't know that you do, but we'll see. Will any of the NLDS Champ Walkie Brewers be in attendance at Lambeau Field? I got to be honest with you, Jenny. I don't watch baseball at all. I have no idea if that means that they're going to win the NLDS championship or if that's from previous years. You guys are going to take away my Wisconsin card on that one. I have no idea. Steve says, I think Kraft will have a big game this week. Great question, Steve. It's I think this Packers offense very much feels like what we saw maybe in like 2011 Packers off. Not for how explosive the offense is, but back in 2011 when the Packers were playing, it was hard to know who was going to have their game. You'd see Greg Jennings have a great game. You'd see Randall Cobb then have a great game. You'd see James Jones, have his game. Mike might have a great game. So it always was like, who's the flavor of the week? 2023 Packers were very similar. I think it's kind of the same thing. I think Tucker could have one of those weeks any single week. Last week, if you remember, he got robbed of 2 touchdowns. He got tackled at the 1 both times. And the one time I didn't think there was enough evidence to overturn it. They thought there was, so we overturned it. So, it very well, it would not surprise me if Tucker had a massive game, and it would not surprise me if he had a very modest game, just with how our offense is. Good question though, Steve. Ooh, Tully says, what's the best, worst, most underrated Halloween candy? The best and the worst. I'm trying to think. It's been a while. Obviously, it's been a long time since I've did any trick-or-treating. I think the worst are the little peanut butter taffy things that are in the orange and black wax wrappers. As a kid, I hated getting those every single year, and there's always people that gave them. As a kid, the best thing I always thought, full-size candy bars or large candy bars weren't really a thing when I was a kid. Like it was like one of those things that were like an urban legend almost. It felt like it didn't actually happen, but you had heard rumblings of it happening. And nowadays I feel like everyone gives out, full-size candy bars because, one, it's probably easier to get them or come across them. 2, there's a lot of like millennial kids or millennial people like myself that always heard the legend of full-size candy bars. And so now we want to be that household. I've given out full-size candy bars the last like 2 or 3 years. And kids like them, but I also know that my friends who live on the same block give them out, and other people in the neighborhood give them out as well. So it's not really that special of a thing. But as a kid, What was cool is when people would give you a can of soda. I always thought that was like a really cool thing. Doesn't answer your question. I'm stalling here. Um, best, I'm gonna say this is not best candy, but Halloween candy when I was trick or treating, or even now, like the Reese's, like the pumpkins were always pretty good, like the kind of specialty. Even though I'm much more of like a Snickers or Kit Kat guy, but I think that's my answer. I'm gonna go the um, I, I didn't say underrated. Hmm. This one's tough, man. I love this question though. Best, I'm gonna say the Reese's. I'm gonna say those. Maybe I'll say those are the most underrated, just because they're. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they're not underrated. Maybe everyone loves those. I don't know. The most underrated is tough. I'm gonna just say the Reese's pumpkins are awesome. Full size cans of soda as a kid were cool. Worst are those orange taffy things. My wife loves those things, but she likes all the like old people candy, for sure. Oh yeah, see, Steve says Reese pumpkins are the best. Whoppers are horrible. I'm with you there, Steve. And underrated is the tough one. You know what? You know what slaps right now that we just picked up a bag of? So if most of you are probably familiar with the Nerds gummy clusters, which those things, kudos to whoever came up with those. Those things have had to have skyrocketed nerd sales, but Nerds gummy clusters are like my go-to candy right now. They just came out with ones that are nerd gummy clusters, but they're like gushers in nerd gummy cluster, whatever. So there's like the gusher gel or whatever in the inside. I definitely crushed a bag of those this weekend, and I'm still working on it a little bit. Circus peanuts are pretty bad as well. That's a good pull there, Jenny. Candy corn pumpkins, most underrated. Ooh, I like that, Ben. I do like the candy corn pumpkins. I know a lot of people hate candy corn, but I do like the candy corn. I do like candy corn and candy corn pumpkins. Um, underrated M&M tiny bags. Ooh, that's a pull. I like this. I like this conversation. Best are always the flavored Tootsie Rolls. Oh, the flavored Tootsie Rolls were always solid. The blue ones, like the vanilla ones, were always my favorite. Best Kit Kats. I could jive with the best being Kit Kats. Worst, the salted nut rolls. I don't know about worse than salted nut roll. Dude, I would eat the salted nut roll over the Whoppers or the whatever those black and orange candies are. Underrated purple Skittles. Yeah, purple Skittles are legit. All right, we're gonna draw this giveaway. If anyone else has any questions, that was a fun one, Tully. I like that one. There is that giveaway link once again. I also forgot to uh, thank Legendaries for sponsoring the show. So we got sidetracked by doing some other stuff before I did the thing here. So shout out to Legendaries. I appreciate them immensely for sponsoring the show all year long. If you're coming into town this weekend, go check out Legendaries. Even if you're like, hey, I don't know about any of their specialty flavors they're doing, because I think they're done with their peanut butter and jelly. But like if you're like, yeah, I'm not big on the specialty stuff, go there, get some buffalo wings. They're award winning. You know, if you get the Scary Larry, they won first place in Buffalo. I absolutely love Scary Larry. And if you're like, I can't handle that heat, they have a wide variety of sauces. Go there, check them out. Tell them I sent you. Depending on who's working, they might not even know who I am. But go there and tell them I sent you. I appreciate them immensely. Wearing my Legendary sweatshirt tonight. It's like my favorite sweatshirt as of late. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to drop them. Sam says that almond joy in the bag among all the others was always a treat. Almond joy is I can get down with. I'm not a big coconut guy, like in candy form. I'm not a big coconut guy, but I won't discriminate against an almond joy. That's for sure. Chad says mix a vanilla one with an orange one at the same time. It's like an orange dreamsicle. Interesting. Joe says, when I was a kid, we had an older neighbor who used to make the best popcorn ball, but now we don't take prepared treat. Yeah. Um, that is another good pull. Like as you think about like your childhood, I mean, I was probably at like the tail end of allowing that, but I remember, dude, like popcorn balls were so good. And I remember times where you would go to like old ladies' houses and they'd give you made stuff they made themselves, and it was always awesome. But you're right that like the whole scare of people are putting razor blades in candy and and drugs in candy and stuff like that, that it's really gotten away from that. People would people would like look at you like you're crazy if you did that now, unless it was like your neighbor or someone you actually knew, like if you had family stopping by and your niece and nephew or something like that stop by. But dude, I think I need to go get a popcorn ball before Halloween now. Last year we had a grocery store um relatively close to us that it's closed down now, but last year we went there and they had homemade popcorn balls like every day or whatever leading up to Halloween. And they were pretty cheap. I think it was like two for $1. Maybe it was like $1 a piece or something like that. They were pretty cheap. And I would go every time I went for something, and I would go to that grocery store a fair bit because we'd just go get whatever we needed for our meal that night, whether like our protein or whatever. But I would stop and I would get popcorn balls every single time. I was just crushing popcorn balls. I need to do that now. Heather says, "What game are you excited to watch?" I'm gonna think that you're saying for throughout the whole Packers season. Um, I think I'm really excited for the Packers versus Steelers. I'm excited, obviously, to watch Aaron Rodgers and against the Packers, and I'm excited to watch the Packers take on Aaron Rodgers. I love the Steelers. I love the city of Pittsburgh, one of my favorite cities. I need to get back there again soon. I absolutely miss going to Pittsburgh. I used to go there like once a year because I have some friends out there. I was planning on or going to try to go to the game this year, and unfortunately, it just wasn't in the cards with me and my schedule and my work schedule. So um, that's the game I'm most excited about. I don't know. I love Pittsburgh. I feel like they're the AFC Packers. Their fans are awesome. The city's awesome. They have a lot of great food, and I love. If I weren't such a big Packers fan and I weren't so like if I wasn't so happy living in Green Bay, Pittsburgh is probably where I would live. I love Pittsburgh. Steve says my grandma used to give out quarters. I as a kid, I remember getting a dollar bill one time. And at the time, I was like, oh, it's $1. Like, that's cool. But as I think about it now as an adult, dude, giving out $1 to every single kid that stops at your house is that's a pretty expensive thing. I mean, you're dropping like I don't know, depending on how many kids you got, 80, 90, 100 plus dollars on Halloween. And this was back when I was a kid trick or treating. $1 today is definitely not $1 of that era. So giving out a quarter definitely checks out. That's awesome. That's a fun memory. Another Halloween treat is caramel apples. Yeah, caramel apple slap. We went to an apple orchard last weekend and we got a big tub of caramel. Not quite the same as the dipped in ones, but with Mason, if we got a caramel apple, he'd want it and be upset that he wouldn't be able to manage it. So we got a bottle of it, but those caramel apples were calling my name. That's for sure. All right, let's get into this giveaway here. Let me flip over to this. Do a nice read just to keep the lights on. So shout out to Nicolet Law. Obviously, anytime we do these giveaways, it is brought to you by Nicolet Law. Without them, I would not be able to do these giveaways. And I do not mean that lightly. Like, I am so appreciative of everything they do, how they support all of us as creators, and just, I don't know, everything they do for people as well. You know, that's the big thing. Because when it comes to injuries, you need a good game plan. That's where Nicolet Law comes into play. Insurance companies have their own playbook, and let me tell you, they are not in your favor. Nicolet Law helps level the playing field. They are based right here in the Midwest. Russell's from Green Bay, graduated from Green Bay. They're in Hudson, Wisconsin now. They have offices all over Wisconsin, and they help people get back on their feet. Injured people get back on their feet. They deal with insurance companies for you, fight to get you what's fair. And the best part is they don't get paid unless you win. So they are fighting for you just to make sure that everyone's getting taken care of there. If you are injured, get Nicolet. Visit nicoletlaw.com or call 1-855-NICOLET. All right. Let me grab this form here real quick. Let me grab these results. Pretty excited to take Mason trick-or-treating this year. Last year we didn't get a chance to because we had the costume. He was all ready to go. Everything was good. We're like hyped. It was going to be a good time. And then the day of Halloween, he got sick. And he actually, my mouse is dying here. The day before Halloween, he got sick and he had to stay home from school that day. And he was out sick like the entire day. He didn't even have any interest of like going outside at all. Like we put his costume on. We went outside a little bit, like not even outside of our driveway. And he was just like, yeah, no, I'm done. So hopefully this year he stays healthy and we can go out trick-or-treating because I'm excited to take him around the neighborhood and do that. All right, let's share this giveaway wheel. Good luck, everyone. We have 20 entries tonight, and here we go. We've had a few that are close. Corey, congratulations. Give me a number 1 through 35 if you could, please. And then we'll see what you win. The caramel suckers. See, caramel suckers are all right. But I got to be honest with you. I am not a caramel sucker guy. They always like get stuck in my teeth. They are just not it for me. Went to the Minnesota State Fair this year with Sway Coda and my wife and little man. And we got the caramel sucker. They had caramel sucker ice cream. And it tastes exactly like caramel suckers. It's pretty wild. Joe, it almost landed on you. Yeah, you gotta be a little bit quicker next time. Raymundo, it was a tie. Hey, the wheel tells me who wins. I don't decide. The wheel does it. All right. Corey says 21 and down. Rowdy says, all right, 21 was already taken, so you get number 20. Rowdy says, saw a report the Cardinals fined their coach $100K for yelling at the running back who dropped the ball before the goal line. And then he said soft. Yeah, that's pretty wild. That's I don't know. That's pretty wild. That's a pretty wild thing. All right. Corey, you got yourself a 1962 championship photo. Congratulations there. I will get that out to you, not this weekend, but probably next week would be my guess. Appreciate you. Appreciate everyone taking the time to enter and hang out. And yeah, everyone's support. It definitely appreciated. As Jenny said, the wheel doesn't lie. The wheel doesn't lie. All right, let's do our once again, thanks to Nicolet Law for making those possible. I enjoy doing the giveaways. I hope you guys do as well because they are a lot of fun. So I really wouldn't be able to do it without them. But let's do this fun story of the week. I did this. So full disclaimer, I did a story of this story last year, early on in the show. I know we've gained a lot of people since then, a lot of new faces since then. Some of you might be very well aware of the story, others not so much. But this is a fun one, and I was like, I want to tell this one again because it's a great one, and I think it's just one that people should know because it is such a fun story. So Brett Favre once tricked Aaron Rodgers into wearing a signed helmet to practice, and here's how it happened. Back when Rodgers was a backup in Green Bay, Favre decided to pull one of the best pranks on him that you might ever hear. One of my favorite pranks ever pulled that I'm aware of, right? We don't always know all the pranks. Some of them probably can't be repeated, but this is my favorite prank I think I've ever heard. In the Packers locker room, players, in the Packers locker room, there is a table where players will often leave items to get signed, whether for charities, for gifts, or for their own personal collection. One day, there was a helmet on there, And Brett Favre was encouraging everyone to sign it, make sure everyone got it signed. And because it was for Favre, it was a big deal. Everyone was going to sign it. If Brett's asking for this to get signed, everyone's going to sign it, including Aaron Rodgers. Well, comes time to go to practice. Rodgers is scrambling around. He can't find his helmet anywhere. Turns out the helmet that everyone signed, including him, was his helmet. Favre had swiped it before. Let me repeat that. Favre had swiped it without Rodgers even knowing, and unbeknownst to Rodgers, got everyone to sign it in the locker room, including Rodgers. So Rodgers had no choice but to head to practice wearing his helmet, which was signed by the entire team. To make matters even worse, Mike Sherman, who was the head coach at the time, kind of gave a little jab at Rodgers and said, "Hey Rodgers, what do you think this is? High school? Getting your yearbook signed by everyone?" I don't know. I think that's a fun rookie hazing, if you will. But it's a great story nonetheless. I'm sure Rodgers wasn't super stoked on it at the time, but maybe he saw the humor on it later on down the way. But I love that story. I figured it was a good one to reshare. I was reading the Into the Darkness, which is Aaron Rodgers, the biography about Aaron Rodgers, and they talked about it. So I figured I'd share that one again. All right. Yeah, Jenny, see, never heard the story. See, that's why we share it, right? Sometimes we not everyone here is here every single week, or I started this and not everyone was joining every single week, and or you hear it and you completely forget about it. So sometimes it's a fun refresher. Leave it to Favre. Yeah. You wonder how many times you hear, or you wonder how many times pranks happen that you don't hear of. I know Rodgers would throw water balloons at guys when they were standing at St. Norbert's for practice back in the day. I'm sure there's just a lot of things that happen that you just don't necessarily hear of the same way. But yeah. Hope you guys all have a great rest of your week. Hope you have a great weekend. Hopefully we're celebrating a Packers win next Tuesday. Appreciate you all hanging out. Thanks as well to Legendaries and Nicolet Law for sponsoring the show. Yeah, I really can't thank you guys enough for hanging out. All the questions, all the hangouts, all the comments, interactions. It's great. Before I do, I see Sam said, me and 3 friends are coming for a game from Texas. Anyone have a tailgate we could park our stuff at? Ooh, I don't know anyone off the top of my head. I would vouch for Sam. Sam's a great guy. He's definitely going to be bringing the party. He's a character. If you know someone, hit up Sam. Sam's a great guy. Otherwise, Sam, check out Lot 1 as well. There's some Lot 1 flags. Shoot me a text and I can get you some information about it. But all right, have a great rest of your weekend. Go Pack, go everyone. And we'll see you next Tuesday. Same time, same place. Thanks again for all the comments, all the support, everything you guys do. Have a great rest of your week. Talk to you later.